Hi, I'm Noah. I'm the creative mind behind Retrospection. Today, we're going to take a look at the Arvomic ARMX777. Now, my setup is relatively expensive, and frankly, it's not the best setup. So, we're not going to be looking at my setup, but we're instead going to be looking at the mixer itself. Alrighty, so the Arvomic. This is the Amazon page for it. It is $99.99. I think I got it for $75, maybe a little bit less than that. As I showed you in the video, I'll show you now, the Arvomic is pretty sturdy. It's strong. It's made out of a nice plastic metal. It's pretty good for what it is. I will say that one of the biggest issues I had with it was the second that I opened up the box and I looked at the instructor's manual, it said that it had Bluetooth capability, and you can notice in the right here, there's a button that says BT for Bluetooth, and I could not figure out how to get that to work. I couldn't connect it to anything, so perhaps it was just a me issue, but supposedly that's supposed to work. So here's the right part. Got a little bit of video I'm about to put in here, but the line, insert, gain, pan, high EQ, mid EQ, low EQ, all of these are pretty standard buttons and knobs to have on your mixer. Your fader is pretty nice. It feels good on the finger. The aux output control, low EQs, all the EQs really are very good. You can feel a change whenever you move the knobs left or right. Your panning definitely pans to the left or to the right. Your gain definitely works too. The thing I would say is that you've got to find the settings that work for your voice or your instrument. The settings that if you were to just go ahead and start messing with knobs and things, honestly, that'd be the best way to figure it out if you have no idea when it comes to audio. But also, this can look pretty intimidating to people who don't really know what they're doing. So my best recommendation is to, if you're a higher pitched person, to work with a high EQ for a little bit. Then if you're a lower pitched person, such as myself, look at the low EQ and mess around with those settings. Now, you're going to want to mess around with all three, but I would focus on wherever your voice stands. Next, we're going to go ahead and head to the main control area. This is your main output fader. It is red. It is different from the other faders, which are all white. The main output fader is pretty good. I just tend to put it at a certain volume, and then I mess with these faders more than I mess with the main output fader. There's a reason for that. When I was in school and I was being taught, I was always taught never ever touch your main fader, no matter what. If you're in a software, if you're in person, and you're doing this live, never touch it. Place it at a good volume, and then adjust the settings from over here. The output indicator is mediocre. It's it'll tell you where your voice is at. It'll tell you if you're clipping and all that. It's just, I wish there's a little bit more to it. It visually shows you, but it just feels very lacking. It would have been better if there was a bar or something that would go up and down like in most music softwares, most MIDIs and DAWs. Next to your output level is your phantom power, which is plus 48 volts. Now, this will shoot up your microphone and give it more power. Some microphones need it, like what I'm using is an AKG C214, needs phantom power. Some microphones don't. You're going to want to be very careful when you use phantom power. You can blow up your microphone. So it's best to do a little bit of research beforehand if you are going to need to use phantom power or not. I have to use it, and I constantly do. I personally enjoy it. It makes a relatively quiet mic much, much stronger, and helps bring out the low part of my voice, which also the knobs down there, which have the low EQ, help bring out the low part of my voice. Next, we go to the inputs. Now, this is where things start to suck. The setup I have is really awful for this thing. What I thought I could do was Bluetooth connect it to my computer or my phone or anything, and that didn't end up happening. Instead, I decided to use, aux sends. I used the left and right stereo output. I've tried all of that, but the thing that I ended up having to do was right here, this main output left and right. I plugged in 3/4-inch jacks, as in two 3.5 quarter-inch jacks, into a Scarlett Focusrite, plugged that into the computer, and there's a lot of different plugs that really feel like they shouldn't be there. Now, the Arvomic isn't great for voiceover. It's definitely more meant for bands and instruments, which is probably the main reason you're getting it. I got it for voiceover because I wanted to have a bunch of MIDI things that plugged in, a bunch of XLR stuff that plugged in, including my piano, and I am pretty disappointed on that, but it was my fault for not doing enough research on it, and that's why I'm researching it now. So, it looks good, it's sturdy, the power is right here in the back. They give you the cord for the power. I wish the cord was a little bit longer, but it works for what it is. Now, we're going to go down a little bit to the reviews of the Arvomic. The Arvomic is mildly reviewed. I mean, it's one of the cheaper things on the market right now, or at least on Amazon. As you can see, most of the stuff is anywhere between over $100 to $200. You have even this, the audio interface with DJ mixer and sound card. I don't know most of these products, but I can probably say if you're looking for band stuff to do, if you want to plug in a whole bunch of instruments, at least the Arvomic would be good with that. These DJ mixers are meant more for live sound manipulation, and then these other audio mixers, really, some of them are meant for voiceover, some of them are meant for live sound microphones. It really flips around. I use this in the sense of editing and voiceover, so I don't do a lot of live sound, and I especially don't do it with the Arvomic. I still can't figure out Bluetooth, and I happen to figure it out while the process of editing this video. I'll let you know, but probably not. I've had this for a couple months. So I was reading through the comments, and I found a few things. The mixer can connect, and actually my phone is connected right now to the Arvomic. The phone can play music through it, but really you can't change the volumes, which is really strange, and frankly, it'd be better if I just connected my phone to literally anything else with Bluetooth. The next thing is that the power supply. I mentioned this a little bit earlier, but the power supply, there's no actual on or off button. You have to physically pull out the power supply from the wall or from the mixer for it to turn on or off. If you leave it plugged in, it is just constantly on. When we look at this Amazon page, it tells you a few things. It tells you where to plug in your speakers to. It tells you where to plug in your headphones. It tells you your USB area. A whole bunch of different things. You can plug in your phone to it. You would think that the Bluetooth, like the phone would plug into Bluetooth. That's probably how that works, instead of... And please, please do not get this confused. This does not Bluetooth to your computer. It Bluetooths from your computer. So if your computer connects to it, you can play music through it, but you cannot edit and change stuff through the Arvomic into the computer. Bluetooth is not strong enough for that. So, of course, you have your XLRs, your guitar, and keyboard MIDI stuff that you can all plug into. It is 3.5 out of 5 stars on Amazon, and it makes sense. The instruction manual is bad, it's confusing. The make of the product is pretty good, though it's confusing because the instruction manual is so poorly put together that it's really difficult to figure out what is happening. So you can plug in your USB cables. It has USB. It does not have MIDI for Ableton softwares. Most people give it between a 5-star and a 1-star rating. This review up here at the top is pretty good. It was sturdy. The phantom power is good. The USB port works. The owner's manual is terrible, like I've said. It's got really weird dimensions, which now that I read that in the comment, I would agree with that. It's very strange in the way that it's been thrown together. But anyways, hopefully this has been helpful. There's a lot of good to bad reviews, and can I recommend this? I can recommend it if you're looking for something cheap. You don't mind spending $100, although I will say most of the time this thing ends up going on sale for less. So if you're looking at this, wait maybe a month or two and it should go on sale for less than $100. It works for what it is, but with the instruction manual being so confusing, I highly do not recommend this for people who are just starting out like I was. For people who know what they're doing and would be able to fiddle around and make things work, then it's probably okay. But this is a very time-sensitive mixer that requires you to put in a lot of effort because clearly the people who made it didn't put in enough effort to help you figure out just the basics of a mixer. And that's that. I hope you had a good time and that this was informative. If you liked it, feel free to leave us a comment, a like, subscribe, or even turn on the bell for notifications. Don't forget, this is also a podcast. You can listen at Retrospection Radio Hour or Retrospection Radio Theater. And of course, if you like what you heard, then please feel free to go ahead, head over to our Patreon, and subscribe. Thank you, and have a nice day.